And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I am Ray.
Oh,
And say hi, Happy.
hi, Happy.
And Happy
I
is
just
Dan.
did something so silly. I pulled my notifications down on my phone, and I thought it was an email, but it's like Zillow's judgment good for NAR. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's us on Clubhouse
You totally were sucked in by our own headline.
by our own headline. I was
distracted by the very show whose headline that you're on.
that I'm on the show. Ray's like, "You ready to go live?" I go, "Wait a second. Oh, that's us. Okay.
That's so good. Well, I guess it works, you know. And one of the things I was talking about yesterday is whenever we headline a show with Zillow, we get a lot more participation, which is kind of sad. I mean, you know, there's people that love them, people that hate them. But whenever we put it in the title, we get lots and lots of people wanting to chime in and give us their opinion, which is one of the things that makes the show different, is that people who are watching on YouTube or on Facebook can comment, and then we can talk about your comment just like Mario did. He said, what up, Ray and Dan? Hey, Mario, thanks for joining us in the comments on YouTube. D. Jones, she's saying, hey, Beards. Melissa Mara says, hey. But the other cool part is we're broadcasting this live on Clubhouse as we speak. It's in the Real Estate Networking Club. If you're not on Clubhouse, just ask someone for an invite, post it on Facebook now. Say, hey, I need a Clubhouse invite, and you'll get one, and then you can come listen to the show. But you not only can you just listen to the show on Clubhouse, you can actually join the show and say something to us, which we've talked about this in the past, but Julie Moon was like, OMG, I'm so glad that I have a Clubhouse now because I was yelling in my car at your show down the road, and now she can just join the conversation. And that's when, hopefully she'll be here later. Hopefully she'll be able to hang out with us. So Nico, he's joining us. I don't know if you're in the room too, Nico. Nico's a Clubhouse guy, but he's joining us on YouTube, which is cool. He said, my beard is not grown, and I've been watching for a while.
Now, since he started watching, though, my beard has really taken off. So
yeah, mine shrank a little last week. I don't know if you noticed. I got a little trim action, a little summertime trim. So
I'm debating because it's getting bigger back this way, like towards the back of the neck. It's where it's getting bigger. It's not getting longer. It's getting a little bit gnarly.
Producer Matt says same. He's not growing yet either. So the market has been pretty wild. Are you so incredibly busy that you don't feel like you have like 2 seconds to spit
at all? Yeah, and that's got to be a South thing, by the way. 2 seconds to spit. But
is that not a thing? I thought that was I don't even have time to spit.
I've never heard it before. So yeah, totally might be a thing, just not.
I guess. But I don't know.
And if you guys don't know, Ray is in Central Arkansas and I'm in Southern California. But yesterday alone, I wrote 6 offers. So in between everything else that we have to do, and we did the little show
for that one client.
Yeah, for one client.
I mean, you just throw them out there, right? That's what I've heard.
Well, that was for multiple clients, but I did get, we have a property we were kind of interested in, and this interesting thing happened. It came back on the market, and in the public description, it said buyer couldn't perform, offered on multiple properties and went another way. And like they were surprised. I'm like, no, that's what everyone's doing. Like,
really?
It was weird to me that they were surprised. And I won't go into detail, but there was another issue. It was one of the first albums we had in over a year, but it was a couple weeks ago. And they actually got so much, it was wall to wall packed at this house. The agents were like, oh, this is going to get multiple offers. It's going to go crazy in price. That's what the agents were saying. They ended up with 3 offers. And
wow,
that's it. By the way, in that market in LA, 3 offers is like almost getting none or no views. So not only that, then they were surprised that someone else, buyers are offering on multiple properties. That's majorly a thing right now. So
people are basically the thought of having to compete
scared them away.
Just like scaring them away.
Scared them away. But how noobish is it of those agents to go, oh yeah, this is going to get. And it was the agents holding the open house, all of the team members saying, hey, this is going to, it's going to get bid way up. We're going to have like 100 offers. And they got 3 because of all of that happening.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you could talk a good game, but maybe it's not happening. One of the things I have noticed, I think I may have mentioned this last week, but a couple of months ago, we were getting 17 offers, 20 offers, crazy stuff like that. Now we're only getting 4 or 5.
That's
super insane. So for our market, like to have multiple offers situation a year and a half ago was crazy.
Yeah.
So, and that was, you would tout that like, hey, we can get you multiple offers. And seller was like, really?
Like your job was to bring one really good offer, then
Yeah.
negotiate it for him.
So now, you could say, well, it seems like the market slowed because we're only getting 4 or 5 offers. But in reality, the offers that we're getting, of those 20 to 17 offers we had in the past, there were a lot of them that were, at list
They're not all
price or lower than list price. And they're like, oh, the best we can do is 5% under where you're listed. I'm like, really, guys? But now it looks like most of the offers are coming in at or way above list price, but there's only a couple of offers coming in. So I don't really think it's slowed. I just think the expectation of the buyer is different. So maybe they're searching more in the realm of what they should. But get into a little bit of all that and see what's happening with the builder confidence. We know that there's a limited supply, so we're going to talk about 3D printing today, but it may not be from a source that you're expecting. We're actually both kind of surprised who in America is really on the forefront of technology and alternative resources.
Yeah.
So,
and kind of adopting the first adapters.
Yeah. We are also going to talk about the Zillow lawsuit. Zillow and Rex are suing Zillow. There is a judgment for that in now, and we'll talk about what that means. Could it be good news for NAR? So we'll kind of skim through those articles. EXP versus Ramsey. We talked a little bit about that last week on the show. There are some formal comments from EXP on that. Still, as of today, nothing really formal from Dave Ramsey. So we'll talk about kind of the one side there and what we're left to speculate on the other. Trillions of dollars have been added to homeowners in their equity just this year. So come up with a number. I want to have some guesses. No one Google this. Don't cheat on me. Don't Google it. But what I want to know is how much do you think the average consumer, the average homeowner has gained in equity just this year? So if you would have bought your home, if you're an average home buyer buying an average home in the average American area, and you close January 1st, how much money have you gained?
No Googling.
Equity. No Googling. Don't Google. No Google. All right. Speaking of Google, we're going to talk about some interesting keywords because the market's been crazy and Googlers have been Googling to rescue themselves from the housing market. And this is really like, we're going to talk about several of these keywords that people are searching. And if you're looking for content to create that might help buyers and sellers in this market, we're literally going to tell you what the #1 searches are.
So and that coupled with the number that we're going to give you for the equity, they're no-brainer marketing tools right now that we'll give you today. So stay tuned.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when those powers combine on your Instagram stories, talk about the inquiries.
Powerful.
Yeah. Then we're going to talk about home builder confidence. What that means, rents, they're rising. I mean, that's spoiler alert. They're going up. We'll talk a little bit about that. So, but Dan, before we get into all these headlines, could you tell people what this BMORE show is actually all about?
You know what? I'd love to. Now, when Ray and I met here on the interwebs 5 years ago, 151 shows ago. Yes, we've done 151 shows.
Yeah.
I obviously noticed he's a beautifully bearded man, but I also noticed something very interesting about Ray.
What's that, Dan?
He hates the color red. Hates it.
Well, this is not true. My name on Instagram is Ray Zorback.
and what are the Razorbacks?
Yeah, it's a cardinal red, but it's still a red.
Still very red.
I graduated there. That is my alum. So that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't hate it. Now, I don't prefer it. Like, I don't wear a ton of red.
That's why I'm saying it. I wouldn't get a Ray wear red.
I wouldn't have a red car. I wouldn't paint my house. Actually, my house right now the brick is red. We're going to paint it white. So I don't prefer it as like a color option, but I am a fan of the red in one context.
So you got some comments, Julie Moon, not as good as Bulldog red. By the way, Georgia Bulldogs. That's a very, very red. And then Clanton says barely red.
Barely red. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but no,
we have some guesses also on this, so this is good. Crystal Rain, she says 30K. Sarah Huffman, she's in the house. She says 12% equity is her guess. Someone D Jones just one-upped her doing the price right. 13% is what she said.
13.1%.
Melissa Mora said 40 to 50K. Now Nico with the qualifier says some parts 60 to 75K, 50K in my market. I don't want your market, Nico. I want average buyer of the average home in the U.S. How much equity have they made?
What do
Mario
you think?
Flores says 35%. Julie Moon is in 10%. All right, we'll keep tabs on this. We'll see. All right. So Dan, what is this show?
Well, obviously, I notice he's a beautifully bearded man, but I also notice he loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but also to humans in general. So the show's about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
Yeah, and I don't know if y'all know this, but we don't get paid for the show. So the reason why we do this show is because we think it's helpful to put it out into the marketplace, what exactly is going on in the economy, so that we as real estate agents can provide better service to our clients and customers and just a better overall customer experience. Because if we are not focused on the customer experience like a North Star, other companies are. And some of those companies are trying to use robots to take our place. So it will get real whenever we get real about what is going on and understanding the economy and the marketplace as a whole. We're laughing at the comments.
1%, $1.
$1, Bob.
I mean, if it's not, yeah.
$1. All right. So Dan, are you ready to get in these headlines?
Have we done enough banter? The much maligned, very polarizing banter. Have we done enough?
Matt LaMarche is in the room, and that was one of his comments in our show yesterday.
He wanted more
banter, so we got a little more banter in there for you, Matt. So thanks for the contribution.
That was moderate banter. We've done more in the past. We've done less in the past. That was moderate banter. I liked that banter. That was really good. There's a lot of people raising their hands, by the way.
I know. I love it. Yeah. Come on up. All right, let's do this. Now, just a reminder, as you do come out today, we can't really talk to you. Oh, Shannon, she's in the room. Shannon Milligan. You're going to be the second story, Shannon, if you want to join the conversation here about Dave and EXP. Good, she raised her hand. She's back. Yay! Now,
do the hands stay raised until we invite them up?
Until you invite them up. But if you raise your hand in Clubhouse and you do get invited up to the stage, then you have to accept that.
I see. Okay.
Yes. So if you raise your hand, just because the moderator is like, yeah, come on up, it doesn't flash you up there real quick. So you have to say yes. That way you're ready to mute yourself whenever you come up. So
yeah, and just FYI, I am newer to Clubhouse because it just became ready for it's on Android now. So if you are Android out there, send me a message or anyone. We'll give you the invite so you can get in with us.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk first up. Judge rules for Zillow in the REX antitrust lawsuit.
LOL.
Yeah. So we talked about this, and I think our question was, is this lawsuit going to actually have some legs? So here's the article. It's from Housing Wire. You can go there to read some of the details. REX grabbed national attention in March when the residential real estate brokerage filed a lawsuit, which we kind of talked about that being a primary marketing strategy. The antitrust conspiracy was between the Zillow listing giant and the powerful National Association of Realtors. But a judge's ruling Wednesday forcefully concluded that there's no merit to REX's allegations and denied the brokerage's motion to stop how Zillow is currently listing properties. So if you go to Zillow right now, you'll see a tab that has all of the properties that are in the MLS. Then you'll see another tab that says other homes for sale or something like that. Other is anything that is for sale by owner, or if you are a company that is a non-member of the multiple listing service and you want to feed your listings to Zillow, that's where they will go. REX is a real estate company that's also a non-member of the real estate service and not a part of the multiple listing service. So whenever they list a property, they have a special feed that goes to Zillow, and they want that included in the main Zillow feed. But Zillow says, per the MLS rules and regulations, we can't do that. So REX sued Zillow, and the suit was, you got to display our listings just like everyone else, because when you put it behind that tab, no one ever sees it. The judge said that's not true. And the reason why, where was the reason? I'm going to find the exact thing. It goes into detail on, what REX claimed and everything like that. But basically, it was basically a pop-up, a help pop-up.
Yeah, a FAQ, FAQ.
Yeah, where is that statement from the judge? I'm looking here in the article.
I have.
Oh, there it is. But the Seattle judge sided with Zillow and said that the listing website have attempted to explain in a consumer-friendly manner the differences between the two tabs by developing a pop-up and a fact pages.
Yeah.
Which that I don't like. That seems okay. I agree with the rule. I agree with the ruling on totally different basis, right? The basis that I agree with this ruling on is that REX has in no way contributed to the MLS nor helped build the MLS. And in the past, they've partnered with other agents that are members of the MLS in order to get additional exposure for those listings because they know it works. And they're trying to build their business based on someone else's platform and trying to force that platform to do something that benefits their business and could one day be a competing business.
Right.
So this would be bad news for anyone that wants to develop a platform that other people can then develop on. So, for instance, a judge could sue Apple, or a judge could force Apple to do something based on a lawsuit. If a developer says, hey, we developed this product and now it's been taken on by Apple, or now Apple's changed the way their phone works and now our app doesn't work, so we need Apple to change back the way the phone works, right? So a precedent could be set in this lawsuit for a bunch of different lawsuits in the future like that. And it's pretty much been kiboshed because of a pop-up. So here's my question.
And a fact page.
And a fact. Don't forget about your fact pages, ladies and gents.
Right.
Those could have legal ramifications, which, the person writing the fact about, seriously, we got to write this fact about 2 tabs. Like, this is, we have to really put this out there.
But now, not only did they create the tab, they also said, here's a frequently asked question about it. And a pop-up. I mean, they're doing more than enough, in my opinion.
And that little programmer that wrote the fact page needs the reason why they won this lawsuit was because of how they wrote the fact. So technical writing skills are on point.
Yeah. And programmer, the coder who actually made it pop up, like they all should get some prizes here, some bonuses.
So now REX says it's not over. Jack Ryan pointed out that the case is not over. REX still has, for example, monetary claims against Zillow and NAR. But I have to say, in
that's interesting to me.
In my limited understanding of law, whenever you have a judge that comes out pretty plain and says, nope, it's not going to work, other lawsuits that aren't directly connected tend to struggle because the other cases can't help but to hear the previous ruling. We're disappointed. This is from REX. We're disappointed that consumers will continue to face NAR segregation rule every time they visit Zillow. And that's one of my problems with this guy is he keeps calling it a segregation rule in an effort to bring about some kind of emotional response based on America's history of segregation. It is not. He's using it as a term to basically market their lawsuit in a way that I think is disingenuous in the first place. So I've got very little respect for Rex, basically just because of that.
Well, and also it's like, if you go after him, you say, okay, we don't like the way you're doing this. We want to be represented too. And here's your trial. We're going to have your trial. And then they say, nope, there's no merit to it. We're denying your claims, right? Why go after them for money? If this isn't just if this isn't A, just a money grab, and B, just a marketing ploy, then why not just drop it? Hey, you tried, make your platform better, or, improve your search, your SEO skills. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, they've been saying, hey, this isn't about the money. And then they're like, well,
now
we still have monetary lawsuits against them. So this is not over.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. And then the other part of it, let's see. Yeah. So they're saying, and they're mad because they're saying, and I kind of understand it, but they're saying that it somehow suggests that to consumers that Rex's listings are somehow inferior, and then their whole point is they're squashing us because they don't want us. They want to keep their traditional model of how much they charge, they being realtors and Zillow, how much they charge to sell a home. We charge less. We're a discount brokerage. And they hate that term. In the article, it says it chafes them. They hate it. But are they really discount? When you really go through the process, it's, if we're on an average 5 to 6%, they end up charging 7 to 9, sometimes 11% in certain cases. And we have gone through this ourselves. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me that, hey, and how did I say yesterday? The parasite on the whale is mad that the whale's not eating krill anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, that was what you said yesterday.
I don't know why I went such a
weird. Yeah, I guess you're into Moby Dick. Weird C reference, but hey, I like it. It does fit.
Yeah, but Dennis says that Rex are the biggest crybabies, and it really sounds like it. They just sound like they're mad, like that their product isn't. I don't know. I said it whenever we talked. That was a week or two ago. You know, if I sell bagels and Ray sells bagels, and we're in the same city, exact same product, but mine doesn't get as much traction, then apparently my marketing isn't as good as Ray's. So how can I get mad at Ray going, well, he sells 800 bagels a day and I sell 8. Well, I'm going to sue him because he's not representing me on his website.
Yeah, I'm not selling your bagels.
Yeah, why aren't you showing my bagels, dude? What are you saying? My bagels are inferior? Like it's just weird to me.
Yeah. Okay, someone. Yeah. Okay, let me reiterate where we are, everyone. We are on YouTube. You can search the Bearded Men of Real Estate show and see it there. Just had somebody text me and say, hey, where is it on YouTube again if I wanted to watch it there? So I'm also going to go to this tab and send it around to folks too.
Oh, a tab. We've created a tab for you.
There's
just like Zillow did for Rex.
I mean, I think people are pretty used to tabs, right? I mean, tabs are a thing. So let me send this to the person that texted me real quick. I appreciate the text from those of you who are in Clubhouse that are saying, where can I watch it? I'm going to send it to you there.
But yeah, Clanton says, alternative headline, Rex's temper tantrum is over. I want my listings represented.
Julie Moon says, we need a FAQ, an FAQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get a fact sheet together for everyone.
And then she has another great comment that tab is actually titled People Who Don't Value Realtors.
Yeah, the other tab, People Who Don't Value Realtors. Let's see.
To answer Mario's question, I think we're going to cover that a little bit.
Yeah. Mario says, Ray and Dan, you're seeing the articles coming out this morning and last night about lumber prices falling. Yes, in part, thank you to Matt LaMarche, who sent me one of those articles too, because we were looking for a better one than some of the stuff we had found. Okay, so this next article is interesting too, and Shannon Milligan is in the chat in Clubhouse, so I'll bring her up just a little bit, but I'll frame kind of what happened. Dan, I want to hear your commentary on it. And then I want to bring people up to speed a little bit on what we talked about last time on the last show. And then I'd love to hear what Shannon has to say about this too. So Dave Ramsey has an endorsed local provider program. That program will refer agents around the country. Dave's a realtor, and then he takes a percentage of what those realtors make for the referral, which is a common practice for most real estate agents. Now, Dave's a little bigger than your average agent. You know, he does a radio show, he does conferences, he spends a lot of money to get himself out there, and so there's some extra fees involved. Like there's a little bit higher referral fee for him than most. There's also a monthly fee, and it's not too bad. And then there's like whenever you sign up, there's a fee to sign up and get involved. I think they call it a training fee or something like that. The training is, you know, it's light as far as real estate goes, but they do a pretty good job of filtering through you as an agent. Like I applied 4 years before I was allowed into the program because my numbers were there, the volume was there, but my years of experience wasn't. So of all the referral programs that are kind of run by a celebrity, it's one of the most strenuous that I've found.
Well, and EXP did claim that, they let anyone in or they let new agents in. So that's what they're going to do now. But that's not true at all.
That's some of what we heard. So last week, what we talked about were some of the YouTube videos and stuff like that weren't great, which is why I recommended everyone watch Shannon's, because some of well, let me get to that in a minute. Let me first tell you what happened. So Dave Ramsey, Ramsey Solutions program, basically ejected the EXP agents that were in the program
with no warning. It just happened.
Yeah. And they would now I have to kind of commend the way they did it, because instead of like sending an email and just shutting it off, they made the real estate coaches that they had to call their people and tell them, this is what's going on. And the reason that they gave, and Shannon can correct me if I'm wrong when she comes up, but the reason that they gave was that the recruiting practices of EXP didn't align necessarily with the values of the open, how they wanted to do it. So it was basically, they gave the reason of recruiting. And so we're kind of left to speculate exactly what that means, but it's the recruiting model taking away from the customer that Dave told, or Dave's people told all the agents. It's the Inman article has a couple of anecdotal instances in which a couple of agents talk about what happened to them and how they were cut off. And, basically the EXP agents are arguing that it doesn't affect customer service. The Dave Ramsey Solutions did tell agents, hey, you can stay, but you can't be with EXP and stay.
Yeah,
So,
we'd love to have you. You just can't be with EXP.
So Glenn Sanford, the company and founder of EXP, he said that it took him by surprise. Unless they change, he's just kind of going over everything that I just did. He said this is a big deal. There's a lot of money here. There's something else going on that we just don't understand. And this is what we kind of speculated last week. Maybe it's the relationship with the Cardones. Grant Cardones has kind of jokingly been called Uncle Cardone by the EXP community. And that could be part of it, because a lot of the advice that Grant gives is not necessarily on the same page with the advice that Dave is giving. They're kind of two different perspectives of investing and making money, building wealth, etc. So it could be that Dave wanted to be the guy, and he didn't want there to be another influencer, another guy, or something being given to his clients that he's referring out. And so we kind of speculated that might be it. The other speculation that we had is that in the ELP program, there are different mastermind groups, and maybe in some of those mastermind groups, there was a lot of recruiting going on. And maybe that is why. But you would think that they would address those issues specifically, right? If they had some recruiting going on in those mastermind groups, that those agents specifically would be impacted. Or if it was the Grant Cardone thing, that Dave would release a statement and say, hey, we don't agree with this guy that's now aligned with their company, so we can't align our company with theirs. So, but they didn't say anything yet.
Now, and
the only thing remember too is about aggressive recruiting.
And the other thing we have to remember too is that there's no formal relationship. It's not Dave Ramsey Solutions partnered with EXP. It's correct. EXP agents that were part of the ELP program, the Endorsed Logo Providers program. So, and
a lot of agents, ELP is not a major source of my business. I know, Shannon said it wasn't a major source of business for her either, but
some in the article it was
with it.
It was more.
But a lot of us are in it because we believe in the program. We believe in Dave Ramsey's program and Financial Peace University, and we believe, the principles that he holds, etc. So a lot of us are in it kind of as it's not pro bono, but it's almost like, hey, I'm going to help where I can and give back because I've been given so much by that program too.
Well, also, because the program does, it makes us be better as humans as well. But from a lead standpoint, technically they're stronger leads, because if they've gone through all of his programs and all of his steps, then when they get to the point where they've fixed the credit, they've got savings, and they're ready to buy a home, they've already done all those pieces. So they are stronger leads. So
they're either stronger or they know like 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's depending on what part of the baby step process they're in.
There are some that are earlier in the baby steps that you have to walk through, but
one notable thing I just found it was interesting is that the EXP is starting Success Experts. So they recently acquired Success Magazine last fall, and they are going to start a recommended real estate agent called Success Experts. Now, what's interesting is, like, if they're with the EXP and that's an EXP product, are they going to allow non-EXP agents into the Success Experts program? Is it going to be just EXP agents? And then how do you pick one EXP agent over another? If you're the EXP company, that's going to be, I guess maybe they have to do something. I don't know.
Is there a qualification for it and so on?
Yeah. Maybe it is just for those EXP agents who were formerly ELPs. So now I'd like to bring up Shannon. I know that was a long explanation, but I felt it was kind of necessary in one way to bring up Shannon to speed on what we've talked about yesterday. And I will kind of say, like, one of the things that we had issue with some of the YouTubes that were out there, which is why we didn't recommend anyone else's but Shannon, is because a lot of them were saying, well, because Dave cut off EXP agents, now these poor consumers don't have access to top real estate agents. Well, that's disingenuous, because there are top real estate agents that are not EXP agents, and you can be a top agent at another brokerage. That's totally fine. So we had to look past a little bit of the recruiting talk to get into some of the other videos. But Shannon had a really honest one and a really open conversation with her Facebook. And I immediately texted her and was like, "Hey, can you come on the show?" And she was like, she couldn't last week because, she's a top agent. She was busy. So she's here today. So Shannon, hey, how are you?
Hey, can you hear me okay? I'm driving to a listing appointment, but I'm happy to pull over if you can't.
No, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. I figured you were busy. So thanks for joining us. Well, I don't want to spend the time to unpack everything that you mentioned. But I'm curious to know if you've heard anything else from Ramsey Solutions. Has there been any developments in the story since last week? And if so, what are they? If not, we can just kind of go over a little bit what you said last week.
No, not really. They are very scripted in what they tell you. So I spoke with my quote unquote coach, and then I asked to speak to a higher up. And then the next day, a higher up called me, and it was very, very scripted, the exact same thing that my coach had shared with me. So no new developments. I'm sure I have a little bit of information because I'm working with the success experts we're trying to get that up and launched. So I've been in some meetings for that. But yeah, I could probably answer some of the questions that you might have just because I was part of hearing it firsthand.
Part of hearing the success experts thing or part of hearing the ELP program thing?
The latter.
Both.
Okay. So we'd heard the comment, and this may be the scripted comment that you're talking about recruiting. Is that the same thing they told you on the phone? That was the recruiting model takes away from the customer experience?
Yes. Now, how it started was with an email. So on like June 2nd, I got an email that basically says, "Hey, I hope your week is going well." I'm actually looking at it. "I have an ELP update that I need to speak with you about in the next few days. Don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong. This is an update I need to make you aware of, and we can develop a plan together. Which times work?" So I had to schedule an appointment to talk. Now, as you know, as an ELP, they've been making a ton of changes since I even joined 6-7 months ago. So I just thought, oh, now it's going to be something else about the Ramsey Trusted Score and that sort of thing. So I set up an appointment for the following week. But that appointment got moved up to the next day or two because I heard from all the other agents ahead of time what was coming down the pipe.
Wow.
So you kind of heard through the grapevine what was going after you got the email and set the appointment. And you're right. They have made a lot of changes recently in how things are scored and calculated and all that kind of stuff to figure out. I guess they're trying to figure out on the back end what's the word I'm looking for? The service level that some of their clients are getting. This is similar to some of the changes actually that Zillow's been making recently, where they're tracking more how many times you answer the phone and how happy the people are who work with you on the phone. So it's kind of similar in that vein to where they are following it's something we should all kind of take note of, because if these big companies are making this change, then it's something that we need to focus in too, just kind of as a side note. But you moved up your meeting, and then you had your meeting with the coach, and they told you could stay, but only if what? And maybe this is kind of where that email came from, right? Hey, we just need to have this conversation, and maybe you could stay with us, but let's talk about it. What did they tell you?
Basically about the recruiting practices, to which, you can refute. It was pretty easy to poke holes in what they were saying. And then, they said, but you could stay if you switch brokerages. And I said, well, is there a specific brokerage? And they said, no, just anything but EXP.
And that is interesting. So
yeah,
one of the YouTubes that we watched, and I think you too, Shannon, brought this up in your video, but there are a lot of other brokerages that recruit. Keller Williams is one of them that kind of EXP was born out of, I guess you could say, in which they had a profit sharing model that is based on recruiting, very similar to EXP. So
it's different though, but yes, I get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the difference in the incentive to recruit. Did you ask them about that, Shannon?
No, I used to be a KW agent as well. What I said was, I constantly get calls from Remax and KW and local brokerages recruiting. How is that any different? And that's where you could tell it was scripted because they wouldn't answer it.
Okay, well, if I can, add something to do that with Remax and Keller Williams specifically. It's not the agents necessarily. Now, agents do recruit. When I was with Keller Williams, I would still say.
I mean, there are agents that send me, look, I own my own brokerage, and there are agents that send me messages like, hey, you want to come to KW? I'm like, kid, you got no idea.
Because you have no idea. But so yes, there are agents, but it's literally the team leader's job to recruit. That's the person's job. They have a person that does that, and then Remax does as well. So,
but what's the difference? I mean, EXP,
it's much more aggressive because, I mean, have you ever seen their payout structure? It's much more aggressive. So the agents are, and it's honestly the reason I didn't go to EXP 3-ish years ago when an old partner of mine went. I was like, this seems like I'm just going to spend a lot of time recruiting and not helping people buy or sell homes. And that's really all I want to do. So I get that the model works for a lot of people, and they still, obviously Shannon sells a lot of homes. She's on her way to a listing appointment right now. But for me personally, it didn't work. So with those incentives, it becomes more, well, I got to recruit. I got to get to this tier. I got to get this many people under me. And then they pull people in and you build that way. I totally.
So how would you,
just different.
How would Dave Ramsey, how would any company put a threshold to signify what is aggressive based on the compensation plan and what is not?
That's the part that I find very interesting, because it's kind of for me, I went through the whole 45-minute video presentation, all that stuff to possibly join EXP. I chose not to. It honestly made me very, very uncomfortable as an agent, but I get that it works for a lot of agents. Obviously they're growing quickly, but it's always been this kind of, there's no proven stats or anything that say EXP agents do less transactions and give less customer service because they're recruiting it. There's no stats based on that. I'm speaking specifically, personally, made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it, but it's this kind of feeling that EXP recruits so aggressively that they don't, that they ruin the customer experience. And that's kind of where I think Dave Ramsey's coming from. But what are the numbers on it?
One of the guys, I think he joined us last week, said Dave's like 2 years late. And he said that recently there have been a lot of changes in EXP that is a lot less aggressive than they were, and just changes in some of the strategies and tactics. Because I mean, we used to always get the Facebook messages from Keller Williams and EXP agents,
all the time. I still get them all the time.
I got one the other day. Stuff. So, but I think they've kind of tamped that. The guy that was talking to us last, I can't remember if that was on the show or the show prep, but the guy that was talking to us says, recently the strategies have changed. Because it's become more effective. But I still don't understand how a company like Dave, and now I'm a Dave Ramsey fan, I'm an ELP, but I'm trying to wrap my head around how do they come up with a threshold based on compensation that shows
how do they quantify it?
And I don't think it's based on that. So if it's not based on that, then I feel like it has to be behavioral. And if it's behavioral, you would think that they would handle those issues individually. If they had agents that are in there recruiting aggressively the other ELP members, you would think that they would address those individually. Shannon, do you happen to ask, like, hey, is this a known issue within the masterminding groups, or have you found out any information about that?
I have not, but
Oops.
Was at KW when it started, and I go on a listing appointment and they're like, Keller what? So I started in the beginning. We had people that were very aggressively recruiting at KW when it first started, and we have that at EXP as well. We certainly have our share of overzealous, excited agents, just as KW did as well, because I heard you say that they're, financially more incentive here. Yes, ours is rev share versus profit share. However, when I was at KW, it was just as aggressive. So people wanted to, get people in their downline, so to speak. So there's that. It was just as aggressive. And it is true, over the past couple of years, Glenn and the team have come out and they are putting in cultural, I don't want to say restrictions, but they're saying you cannot recruit like this. Like, this is not in our culture. This is not how we are. And it has definitely tamped down. So I do think Dave was late on that. Now, I did not ask them specifically about what you just mentioned, but it was a very interesting conversation. They had very little to share. I did say, how does that affect the consumer? And they couldn't answer that. All I can tell you, though, is from being in my coaching group, my little pod, I didn't see anyone doing recruiting. I found most of us to be very like-minded individuals who come from contribution. I certainly don't recruit the way people, are saying that all EXP agents recruit. And I have lots of people in my downline, but I don't recruit. People come to me because I'm honest, and I don't need to do that. So that's what I found in our little coaching group. Everybody was very collaborative, and I couldn't even tell you what brokerages people were with. So unless there was some back channel stuff going on that I don't know about, and I even created a little Facebook group so we could maybe pass referrals and that sort of thing for our little pod, but it never came up about brokerages. And it all just seems very interesting. There's a lot of theories. Was it Grant Cardone? Was it because Dave just spoke at a REMAX convention and REMAX is suing EXP? Then there was also some talk about, and I believe this to be true, that Dave Ramsey's PR team was trying to get him on the cover of Success Magazine, and that didn't pan out. And then all of a sudden we're kicked out. I mean, and that's not,
That's interesting.
Yeah, from my
Breaking
understanding,
news.
their PR team was trying to get him on, and Success said not right now. Now, y'all have to remember, Dave Ramsey's also in some controversy himself. He's being federally sued by the woman that was pregnant out of wedlock, and then he fired Chris Hogan a couple months ago. But apparently, and of course, this is all allegedly, I don't know all the details, but from what I read, is he didn't fire Chris Hogan immediately. He got him marriage counseling. Well, then fast forward to this woman being fired, and now she's suing for discrimination. So it makes sense to me that his team would have reached out to have some good PR, and Success said not right now. So is this just a case of somebody being upset and taking their ball going home? Was that the straw that broke the camel's back? Was it a bunch of things? All I know for sure is I don't feel it was about recruiting, because I joined in December. They knew I was with EXP. There are EXP agents that have been ELPs for 7 years while being at EXP for just as long. Dave didn't just all of the sudden look under the hood and realize,
Right.
oh, they have recruiting. And the funny thing that's ironic, if you go to Dave's site and stuff, he talks about sharing the profits. It's one of their principles.
Yeah.
And they talk about, he's mentioning aggressive recruiting. Well, if y'all look at his Google AdWords, it's other agents suck, ours don't. Well, that's pretty aggressive right there. So it's just been a really interesting thing, and I'm just happy that Success Experts is coming from it, and I think it's going to be a good thing for us agents that we had some support there, and somebody helping us out right away, being the company to replace, because it's not going to impact my business that much. I'm closing my 5th deal tomorrow with the Dave Ramsey program. 5 is not huge out of the 55, 60 that I sell per year, because I'm mostly relationship and referral. That being said, I was heartbroken because I do speak the language of those people. And the biggest thing for me, and I love Dave Ramsey, the program worked for my family personally, and the agreement does say that anybody can terminate at any time. The problem is, there was no refund of my money when I signed up for a year's worth of potential. And my biggest issue really comes down to a more ethical kind of way of doing it. There was no warning. And so for those agents that this was a sole part of their business, there's an agent that I'm friends with that was making $200,000 to $300,000 off of these leads. It's a big bread and butter for them. And this man just effectively cut them off at the knees. And now this agent's going to have to scramble to replace that very large piece of business. So that is the the challenge with it. You know, he had every right to do what he wants to do in his business, just as we all do as independent contractors. It's just the way he went about it.
Yeah, I don't getting that email saying, hey, you haven't done anything wrong, but then they cut you out for technically saying you did something wrong. That really sucks. That's like getting what is it, Ray,
that we believe is doing something wrong. So
right. No. And I feel like they just did that to like get you on the phone, and then they gave you the I don't love you anymore birthday cake, you know?
Yeah. So, and I agree mostly with you, Shannon, in your stance. And, you know, I think probably some kind of proration, especially for those agents that just joined and paid the $3,000 this year, and now they can't do it. I mean, I'm thinking about agents that like last month joined. I'm sure there's some that last month were in it and paid the $3,000, and now they're gone. So that's an interesting situation, and hopefully that part gets worked out. You know, I hope that they can figure that part out, especially for agents that really didn't do anything. That's the part to me that kind of
what if I did go to EXP and I'm not a recruiter? I just like EXP, and then when I do have someone come over,
you love the logo. Maybe
I like the logo.
In fairness, I do want to say I believe the agents that were in the red are getting their refund.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit, Shannon. You're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, the agents that were in the red are getting a refund.
They should be getting a refund. I believe a few of them had. So if they hadn't closed a deal or two that didn't cover the expenses that they had put out, I believe, at least I know of one agent who did get their money back because they had only closed one deal and they were in the red. I was told I'm not getting my money back because I made money and I'm in the green, to which I said, but so did Dave. He collected the 30%. But I just wanted to make sure I went on the record of saying some agents are indeed getting their money back, and I understand it to be if they were in the red.
Yeah, and by the way, the article does mention that if you know any leads that you still have, did Shannon mention it, or maybe it mentions it in the article, but up to 2 years, which is so I don't know, it kind of bums me out too, because they're saying, hey, we're taking this program away from you, but this lead you've been working, now you still have to give us our chunk back. That part's rich. Yeah.
So, but by the same token, and you know, Shannon, you kind of mentioned the lawsuits and stuff like that, and that was kind of one of the things that irked us last week when we were talking about Dave, is some of the YouTubers were going pretty hard after him for things that people have been complaining about Dave for a long time, but yet like last week they were in ELP and didn't mention any of it. So
right. I didn't like this anyway. So
yeah, that was a little bit kind of like what you were saying he was doing, take your ball and going home. Kind of the other side was doing that too. Like, well, you don't want to play with me, I don't want to play with you. And kind of, so I think, you know, avoiding that kind of stuff, because basically he has pretty high standards for anyone in his company. If they go against those standards, and he has employee contracts that include some of those standards. And if you go against those standards, then they have the right to terminate you, but we'll see what happens in court with those things. But interesting. I really appreciate you coming on, Shannon, and kind of giving us an opinion from inside and letting us know what happened to you personally. I'm hoping that you get some kind of repayment or compensation or something like that, since you just joined recently. But I know you're a stellar agent, and I also know that you don't put all your eggs in one basket either, which is smart. But
no, I don't. And I appreciate you having me. I will leave you with the last thing that you said, and then I'll pop off. But they do want the 30% for anything that we may procure from those leads. But my question to you to ponder is, well, if he broke the agreement, then does a contract still exist? So that's my question to, you know, people. Well, why do I still owe the 30%? Because if you effectively broke the agreement, then is there still a contract where I still owe you the 30%? So that's what I'm in the process of finding out. But listen, like I said, it was a great program for me, and it's a great program for people if they want to get out of debt. And I don't fault him for doing what he wants to do with his business. It was just the way that it happened. But thanks for letting me chat about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. Love you. We'll see you next time. I appreciate you joining us. All right, so let's talk about speaking of Rich.
Let's get back to those guests. Let's see who was right in the last 6 months. What have homeowners gained on average across the country?
So on average across the country in equity, if you bought a home in January, you are $33,400 richer.
In 6 months.
$33,400 richer. What's the average home price across the U.S.?
I forget, 378, something like that.
Let's see. Average home price across the U.S. Ooh, wow. It's 284 in May 2020. No, that's last year. That's last year.
Yeah.
Hang on. We need 2021 here.
Which leads to
average home value according to Zillow is 287,000. So that would be way more than the 10 to 13% that people were guessing. 284, 287. I don't know. We'll find Matt, the producer, can do some Googling, maybe find that, or one of the contributors. So we had several guesses at 10%. So at 10%, the average price would have to be around 330,000. So that would be the closest. Somebody said 35%. That's too high. So no one got it, but $33,400. So here's a great little post for you. And Jimmy Mackin talked about it on, was it Monday? That we did maybe it was Tuesday. I can't remember. My days are running together. But Jimmy had a great little conversation with Matt LaMarche in Clubhouse. Matt, I've said Matt so many times today. Somebody tagging. And he basically said, take that stat. The average consumer has made $33,400 in equity this year. Are you curious to know how much your home gained in value? Or are you curious to know how much you've made or something like that? And then bam. You've got a great little post there that's going to get lots of people talking. So that's a great way to turn this article into something that you can use to generate leads. Let me go back to it. I'm going to kind of give an overview, and Dan, love your comments on it. Those with mortgages, about 62% of all properties saw their equity jump by 20%.
20%.
This represents collective cash gain of $2 trillion. The massive gain, thanks to soaring home prices, which is CoreLogic, was up over 11% in March. That's the sharpest gain since 2006. Prices rose even higher and stronger, 13% in April. What is going on?
I know.
It's all based on, the lack of inventory and the strong buyers with low interest rates, right? I mean, that's the basics of it.
Whoa. Hold on. I did something.
What happened?
I don't have a mouse for my laptop. It's that little pad, and it was just like freaking out for a second. My windows were doing all this. I'm all, whoa.
Sarah Huffman.
Nerd alert.
He said, so if my math is right, 34,000 of 284,000, 11.97%. I don't do math that quickly. So that's 12%, which I think, doesn't that make her the closest?
Well, someone said 12%. I said 11.99. But anyway, just kidding. So the interesting thing to me was they kind of went through how this can actually help anyone that are still in Rona related mortgage bailout programs. So as of June 1st, there were still just over 2 million homeowners in those programs, according to Black Knight. As these plans begin to expire, having home equity will help those in trouble. They can still sell and get out with a potential profit if they have to. So then it goes on to say this reduces the likelihood of a large number of distressed sales, which I think we've been saying on the show, of homeowners to emerge from forbearance later in the year. He added, by the way, that's from Frank Notheft. He's the CoreLogic chief economist. And he added that the average homeowner now has about $216,000 in equity.
Wow.
So not only so if you bought January or closed January 1st, yes, you now have $33,000 extra in equity, but the average now is 216. So we're sitting on a lot of equity. Not only is it gained a lot, but we're sitting on a lot of equity. So that's why I keep going back to, it's not going to crash, but it can't, because people can get out of it without the short sales and going to foreclosure and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think all it means is that it seems like the housing market on the seller side is going to be stable for a long time. Like I don't foresee a lot of that changing due to the backup from the builders, which we'll talk about in a second. We also have, I've been reaching out to several investors and asking them to sell off some of the rental properties. And a lot of them are like, no, I'm hanging on to it. And I was like, why are you hanging on to it? And they're like, because the prices I can charge in rent right now are crazy.
Yeah, which we're going to cover. And I have a little note on that.
I'll get to that. Yeah. Let me go ahead and get to that now then. Rents for single family homes just saw the largest gains in 15 years. This is from CNBC. It says even after the pandy, the ebbs and flows of Americans going back to work and play, they still want more space at home. Both home prices record highs, demands of single family homes soaring. So are the rents. So single family rents were up 5.3% year over year. That's from a 2.4% increase in April 2020, according to CoreLogic. Largest gain in 15 years. Rents for single family detached homes were up an even stronger 7.9%. And
isn't that interesting? We were at the top 15 years ago, and rents were up then too.
Yep. And this kind of goes in exactly in line with what my investors are telling me, that as a tenant exits the property, they're going in, putting a little bit of work into it, but not much because material prices are too much. And then they're able to increase the amount that they're charging for rent and instantly fill it. And I'm wondering if some of those are short-term renters or people that are, can't find anything on the market. So they're going into a rental for now until the market opens up and they can find something else. Nearly half of millennials surveyed by CoreLogic, 64% and 64% of baby boomers said they strongly prefer to live in a single standalone home. So detached is what they're looking for, not necessarily multifamily. Single family, this is a quote from Molly Bossel, principal economist at CoreLogic. Single family rent growth showed strong rebound in April 2021, with price tiers back above their pre-pandy rent growth rate. While rent growth slowed last April at the start of the pandy, the rent growth slowed. Yes.
Okay.
Let's process that. Rent growth, so it still grew, but it didn't grow by as much as it was growing. So rent growth slowed in last April at the start of the pandy. The rate of growth this April was running above pandy levels when compared to 2019, shows no signs of diminishing. They have additional stats on there, but Dan, what are you seeing in your market? Are you kind of seeing the same thing from renters? Are there still builders? You mentioned in the past about builders building properties to just fill with renters. Is that still happening, or are they selling them now?
No, it's just they're filling it with renters. That's what they're going towards, just to get someone in them now, because like you said, in your investors, I don't want to say astronomical, but they're able to charge, so imagine that you have someone's in there for 11 months or 12 months and they leave, then you have that month of vacancy. So you do a little bit of work, and I have a friend, he was charging $1,700 a month. And, when you raise the price, technically that should lower, you just want the more legitimate renters to come through, with the better credit scores and the better income and all that stuff. He rented it or upped it by $800 to $2,500 a month. Still hundreds and hundreds of views and tons of inquiries on it. So
is he watching views and inquiries to know if he's overpriced on it or not? Or is he just watching like rental applications?
He's watching every single, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not going to say who it is, but you know who it is. He's very, very stats and numbers driven. So he's watching every single thing he can. So his decision to go that high was very calculated, but it's paying off for him, So, but yeah, I wanted to add kind of those stats you mentioned. We don't need to go through on where's this from? Where's this article from?
This one was from CNBC.
So if you want to see everything, yeah. So the lower priced, it's interesting to me. Lower priced went up 3.9% from 3.2, middle up 4.8 from 2.5, higher up 5.1 from 2.3, higher priced up 6.1 from 2.2. So as you go up in the tiers, the more expensive rentals, they went up even more, so they can afford
the percentage
went up, so they can afford to push up those prices even more. So I think that's very interesting.
That is, I think that shows a lot of people exiting the middle price ranged home. They're selling their home, taking the cash out, and then renting for a little while.
Just renting for a bit, and they're like, I don't care what I pay. I just cashed out on my $216,000 in equity that I didn't have 6 months ago.
Okay, so let's talk about the home builder confidence too, because it's falling to its lowest level since August. This sounds terrible.
Horrible. That sounds like they're just not going to build any new homes for years.
Yeah, I passed a builder the other day, and he was literally under a bridge. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, building a bridge. I was like, oh, okay. So sorry, these higher costs have moved some new homes beyond the budget of prospective buyers, which has slowed the strong pace of the home building. Policymakers need to focus on supply chain issues in order to allow the economic recovery to continue. This is Chuck Folk from the National Association of Homebuilders chairman. He said the rising materials and supply chain shortages are partially to blame. The index gauging current sales conditions fell 2 points
to 86.
To 86, as did the gauge charting the sales expectations of the next 6 months to 79. The gauge charting traffic to prospective buyers dropped 2 points as well to 71. Now, we know that a builder sentiment index above 50 is positive. Which, did they put that in here?
Not on this one, no.
They didn't say it.
I know.
It's 86. That's 36 points above
minimum positive.
This is great. I mean, that's great. It's just 2 points difference. It depends on what builder you survey and what day. I mean, it's getting hot out there.
Right.
So Logan is he in this one?
On the article? I think he's quoted in the article.
Where's his initial quote? All right, there it is. Oh, no, that's David Logan. That's not the Logan that we know. David Logan, the NAHB senior economist, director of tax trade policy analysis, said that the continued distribution of multiple handy vaccines is the key to return of affordable lumber. So he said it's going to take working care of the population, getting vaccinated and back to work for things to really improve, which I thought that was interesting. All right.
I just wanted to add, so Housing Wire reported back in March that, and this article is from Housing Wire, back in March, that lumber prices alone, and I know, and hopefully this will be a segue to that because I don't think we have an article on it, but lumber prices alone this is back in March, more than quadrupled since April 2020 to an astonishing $1,500 per 1,000 board feet. These days, lumber alone is adding nearly $36,000 to the final price of the new build. And then when you throw that into, can't get appliances, can't get paint. We covered on the show last week, can't paint the house. So, but it's still amazing that with all these challenges and then can't find land, can't find labor, they're still at 86. Like, no, we'll build houses. But these articles are like, it fell again.
The growth slowed.
Slowed.
Jeff Reagan in our YouTube comments says lumber prices did start coming down. Yeah, and that's what kind of why we're going into this next story here. Lumber prices are falling. This is from Wall Street Journal. I do want to get some of the comments in Clubhouse. I see you, Melanie, Steven, Shani. So if you want to say anything, just hang out for a minute. I'll get to you.
Are lumber prices falling or are gains slowing?
So these are actual lumber prices falling. The chart is pretty amazing. I don't know if producer Matt is available to show that chart. But basically it's lower. It's as low as it was back in April. So it hit this huge spike and then went way down. And so the fast drop in lumber prices is ironically turning people into hoarders.
So maybe they're watching futures, which we don't, I think we look into it, but maybe they're watching lumber futures and they're like, no, they're going to come down. And they're like, no, so we'll start building.
I just put the link to the article in the private chat, Matt. So maybe you could put that chart up there too.
Yes, everyone, we have a private chat.
Oh, it's a different one. Yeah, sorry. That one's behind a weird paywall. So cash lumber prices are also crashing. Pricing service Random Lengths said Friday that its framing composite index, which tracks the on-spot sales, dropped $122 to $1,324. I think that's the per board foot price. The pullback came just 6 weeks after the index rose to $124 during the first week of May. I'll share my screen. I guess Matt is stuck behind a paywall. Hang on just a second. I'll share mine.
Our private chat is lit.
It's lit. There you go. I don't know why. So this is weird. Like Matt's stuck behind a paywall, but I can see the full article and I didn't pay for this. All right. So there it is. Lumber prices. You see the green versus what happened in 2020. So it was going up in 2020 and then it just kind of continued to take off. And it got all the way up to $1,686 per board
1,000
foot.
board feet.
Yeah, per 1,000 board feet. And then it's all the way down to 1,000 now. So it's even dropped today. Wow. It's down to $1,009.90 per 1,000 board feet. So it's almost $1 a foot again.
$1 a foot. So start buying right now. Buying and hoarding, right?
Buy.
Yeah.
Wait.
Buy.
Who knew NSYNC was stock investors? All right. So we have there's Matt drawing based on the article. Thanks, Matt.
That's on his paywall version.
Good job.
Oh, you're seeing live editing now.
All right. Do you guys want to know some Google keywords? And
what other show can bring you that kind of high-end technology?
I mean, this art on this show is incredible.
By the way, I think that's Microsoft Paint.
That's what it looks like. All right, let me go to a couple of the Clubhouse comments. Melanie has been waiting patiently. So, Melanie, I want to bring you up. I don't know which article you want to talk about. I just want to bring you up so that you can say, "Hey,
go nuts."
Are you there, Melanie?
Hey,
how are you doing?
good. I think it's just, I mean, I think so much of what you're talking today is interesting about the way that we travel in business. I think the first thing I would say is about the Dave Ramsey is not knowing what the depth of where it's coming from is, but I really almost appreciate the fact that he's aligning with his beliefs. And so many times it feels like people fudge their beliefs a little to the left, a little to the right to allow for something. I'd really like to know where it's coming from, because I like how you guys hypothesized that maybe people were talking in the groups and recruiting in the groups. Potentially they were asked not to do it and continue to do it, or what happened. But I kind of respect that. Yeah, I mean, that's something
that's
really
what I thought
me.
too, because there are a lot of people that to make a buck wouldn't stand by a principle that they had. They'd kind of let it slide and say, well, that's them, that's not me. So I do appreciate that part too. I agree with you.
And I think Shannon did kind of say that too.
It's just weird, but I mean, I thought that was interesting. And the fact that it was taking on an entire brokerage, you can go to anybody else but EXP. Anyway,
yeah,
but lumber prices falling. I was going to say, but the other thing is lumber prices falling. Thank God.
Yeah, it's about time. I've got some projects left undone at my house that I need to do.
So. You need to go buy today, buddy.
Well, I think you have to wait, right? So those are just the raw materials. Don't you have to wait until it kind of trickles down into the whole, Home Depot or Lowe's? We're not brand agnostic.
Yeah,
local lumber yard.
Local,
whatever.
Yeah, the home fix it up places.
Yeah, buy local. All right, Steven, you're up, man. How's it going?
Hey, good guys. Just was chiming in and hearing it was good talk with the XP stuff and all that going out, and just hearing what their model, things like that. Just more about it,
Yeah, and Steven, if you are in Clubhouse, you see a beautiful cartoon face and Steven and Melanie and Shani, and you know that,
and Dan kind of.
Dan's is a really good one, artist rendition from Disney themselves. But those cartoon faces do not work with bearded men. It looks really strange. So,
it made beard glitch, right?
Eyes really big.
Yeah, he said beard glitch. Beard glitch is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So Steven was rubbing it in with his beautiful cartoon face yesterday. Thanks for joining, Steven. Lamar, you're up, man. How are you? Lamar, are you with us? There you are. There you are.
All right. Hello, and good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
We're good, man. Thanks for joining the podcast. I don't know if you wanted to speak on a specific article or topic that we were talking about, but feel free. Give us your 2 cents.
Okay. Really fast. Myself and there's another one of the other producers is here in the room, Mr. Juno Joyner. But myself and the producers of American Idol, and So You Think You Can Dance. We're collaboratively putting together a new project. The name of the company is called World of Dreams Entertainment. The CEO of the company is Ron Deshay. Ron Deshay is the senior producer for American Idol.
Hang on, you said you produce American Idol?
The CEO of World of Dreams Entertainment. I'm a producer at World of Dreams Entertainment, and the executive and CEO and founder of World of Dreams Entertainment is the senior producer of American Idol. Correct.
That's cool. Well, thanks for joining the conversation. Did you want to talk about any of the real estate stuff that we were talking about too? I mean, I can sing a little bit.
Did you want to put us on a show? I mean, that would be awesome.
Do you want us to be on the show? Are you asking us to co-host? I mean, I make a great Simon Cowell impression. I can be mean.
No, but thank you. Actually, the reason why I'm calling is in terms about real estate. We're actually what we're doing right now is Ron Deshay is actually in Dubai, and he's doing a series of casting calls. So the show, just without giving too much away, we're dealing with brokers and as well as agents. And we're covering the high-end real estate industry there in Dubai, and doing a casting call and doing so. So right now we're casting.
That's a super high end. Like
Yes.
when your tourists are driving Lambos, that's a good high end market. That'll be cool, man.
Yeah, when your cops are driving,
and we want to encourage or invite, if you will, you guys. It's not limited to you guys. Your listeners as well. Encourage them to apply and see if they can sign up for auditions.
There you go. That's a great reason to listen to the Bearded Minute Real Estate Show. You might start a new career as a Dubai real estate agent on TV. So
absolutely.
And what I'm really hearing, though,
if you could, without holding too much of you guys' show up, if anybody out there is interested, you don't have to necessarily be a real estate agent. We're casting for real estate agents as well as brokers, but you can be aspiring as well. And if you're interested, please inbox me on my I'm sorry, what platform am I using right now?
Clubhouse, but people can find you. So you're being broadcast right now on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So people could just go
wow, awesome.
So Lamar Smith, LEMAR SMITH. Is your Instagram the same?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, there you go, guys. Let him know if you want to be on TV. You need to go contact Lamar right now.
Absolutely. And please put in description if you're auditioning for the broker position, the host position, or the agent position. That'd be very helpful.
I'm auditioning for all three. I'm putting it out there right now. I'm auditioning.
Other than that, that's it. Thank you guys.
Well, just like I want to know which one I can make it in. So put me down for all three, and we'll you guys decide where I fit as long as I get a Lambo, and we'll make this work, Lamar.
Yeah.
Well, if you could, I don't know how much more time you guys have, but if you guys have possibly, I guess, an extra 2 or 3 minutes, my buddy here, Juno Joyner, he's also a producer. He's actually a senior producer. It's my boss. He's actually in the room right now.
Let's go. I tried to bring you up earlier, but he may have to exit and rejoin. But we'll have to do. Shoot me a message offline, and maybe we could do something special for it, because that sounds fun. Awesome. And also, if you guys are in Clubhouse and you're not following the Real Estate Networking Club, here. Oh, you are? Oh, there you are. I didn't even see you up there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm fresh. Just to give you some brief experience. I'm actually driving, so if you hear some noise, I do apologize. But I actually years ago, I used to be a real estate agent and a loan officer back in the early 2000s. So. That's why cool. I'm. Yeah.
Are you in Dubai now?
No, I'm not in Dubai. I'm still stateside. But my boss, and that's Ron. He's actually in Dubai. This show also is going to be partially financed between us by a government agency. I can't name who. But it's Security. Basically to draw tourism. To Dubai. So basically, it's going to be a really big deal. We're looking at a few host names that have been tossed around.
Ray Ellen.
Are Kevin Hart, The Rock, Will Smith,
Ray Ellen.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a really big deal.
He said, yeah. That's cool.
I mean, I'm just saying, bro. Hey, look, I'm not a dream killer, my man. Listen, my job is to get the best talent, and then the guys above me, their job is to say we want this guy. And if you play well on camera, who knows what can happen. I mean, it's called World of Dreams for a reason. I mean, just not to take up too much of your time like Lamar, but I mean, when I first engaged in this process, I had no experience as a television producer, but Ron believed in me, and he, as well as Lamar, he put us in position to succeed in this business. So, taking that same energy, we're also attempting to do that for others, which is why you don't necessarily have to have experience, but just be aspiring in the real estate industry. And if it works, it works, and we'll welcome you.
There you go. Well, thank you guys for joining the show, and thanks for making the breaking news announcement. We'll put that on there. You could do like a producer Matt breaking news that there's a Dubai real estate show coming. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, Shawnee, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you so much for coming up. Tell us who you are, what market you work, and also, do you have a specific? Sorry.
Hey, it's Sean. Thanks for having me. So, outside of
Hey, wait, you're going to have to mute one of the things. So I'm hearing an echo from your, I think you're watching us on YouTube too, that's really cool, but I'm hearing an echo somehow from it. So, I don't know where she went. Hopefully everybody can still hear us. Luigi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt can. Matt just flashes mic.
All right. Well, when she comes back, Matt. Oh, Luigi, good. Hey, did you have a comment about one of these articles specifically?
No, I'm just listening. I was curious about the EXP. I didn't quite get. I came in when they said every broker except EXP, so I was wondering what that was.
Luigi, I am glad you brought that up. We actually have a show called BMORE Chops. So if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, look up the Bearded Men of Real Estate on YouTube and you'll find that. Hit the bell and subscribe, because each one of these segments of our show, we will actually do a full release of just that episode. We'll also, in the description of the live broadcast, have timestamps. And if you want to kind of skip over the banter or find something you're looking for, you could just click the timestamp and zoom right to it. So thanks for bringing that. That's probably the easiest way to get the full recap, because that was a pretty in-depth discussion, but I appreciate you joining the show today.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And what was the name of the YouTube channel?
The Bearded Men of Real Estate Show.
The Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. Got it.
Hey, and I see you're back. Try to say something this time. See if we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's great. No echo. All right, go ahead. What do you want to share?
Yep. So I'm Shawnee. I'm in Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. Also licensed in New Jersey and serviced in New Jersey. And I just wanted to say great information as always. And I wanted to know where were you getting the stats from the equity that was built this year? Was that Housing Wire or NAR?
That was CoreLogic has the report, and we were reading that report from, I think that was Housing Wire, but it's now kind of distributed everywhere. So it'll probably be on the magazine.realtor. If you follow the realtor it's not realtor.com, realtor.org or whatever. So that's probably the best way to find it. All right, so let me cover yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I in my market I do a lot of leasing, property management, and what you mentioned is so true. I have people desperate because landlords are selling off single family homes, at least in my market. I've been so busy over the last with rental listings. I mean, just people just begging, and they all have the same story. You know, for the most part, that the landlord's selling the house and they need to find a place. They're willing to go over whatever the price is. They want to know what they can do to get in. So it's just really amazing. Like, it's crazy what's going on. Just wanted to mention that.
It is.
Echoes heard around the country. Okay, so let me cover these next two articles pretty quickly. I'm going to bury the lead and say the 3D printing company that we were talking about, guys. The 3D printing company who is leading the world and nation in 3D printing. Habitat for Humanity. What?
They're
Habitat
starting
for
to
Humanity
print 3D
printing
homes.
3D homes. So it's pretty cool. They're doing it in Arizona first. Then they kind of plan on going worldwide. You can find that article on CNBC. We are short on time right now, so let me get to this.
The only thing I want to say about that is that it's sad, though, that first picture and that first video of 10 helpers pushing up that first wall that's been framed. That's all gone now because they're 3D printing, but it's still really cool. Yeah, that's no longer. It'll be like a volunteer helper clicking the button to start the 3D printing process. And we're ready. We like all those home reveal shows. It's just gonna pull away a curtain to see someone go boop, and then it builds their home for them. That's it.
Okay, so I want to talk about these Google keywords to give you guys some meat to use in your marketing moving forward this week, and then we'll end the show right after that really quickly because I got to.
And there's one that's absolutely amazing to me, but I'll let you get through it, and I'll key in on it if you don't.
Okay, how to get ready to buy a house. The search is up. I think it's up 100%. How to get ready to buy a house. So basically, the article is a video from CNBC, and it talks about how home buyers and sellers are going to Google and using keyword search terms because the market's so crazy right now. These are the keyword search terms that they're using most. How to get ready to buy a house. Another one is how to buy a house without selling yours. That's up 160%.
Which is big.
Yeah. When will the market slow down? That's up 100%. And you can kind of tell a lot about the mindset of those who are searching this too. All right. Now this one's up 300%. Why are houses so expensive right now? So does that not seem obvious to you, Dan? Like if you're in the business, that's an obvious question, but that's a question that people are Googling to find out the answer for.
Right. Which if they're not speaking to an awesome realtor like you or I, then they're not going to know the answer. It's all speculation for them. Remember, there's all this data running out in their form and all these articles. And they're like, I don't know what to trust. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. So they're searching for it.
Yeah. The place to go is the Bearded Men of Real Estate show. Google says, this is another Google search. It's up 100% in the past 3 months. Can I use my 401k to buy a house?
Okay. Do you have the next one that's up an astronomical amount? I want to.
Let me get to it. Yes. So this one is up 5,000%. 5,000%. Now, the question that people are Googling that's up 5,000%. What are home values near me?
So what does that lead you to believe, Ray?
That the old thing that stopped working about 2 years ago that says, do you want your home value, might be actually something good to stick out there. Because a lot of marketers stopped doing it when people were kind of, they knew that when they did that, they'd get contacted by a real estate agent. But yeah, there you go.
Well, that, and then coupled with, so if you take that and couple that with the, hey, in the last 6 months, you may have earned X amount, put them together. I've done stories about this just on Instagram, and I'm getting great responses. A lot of people saying, cool, how much have I made in the last 6 months alone? Or since I bought 2 years ago or whatever is what's the difference? And then the next question is, how do I, I'll sell now, but how do I buy right now? So that's the difficult part. But what that really leads me to believe is 5,000% isn't 160%, by the way, which is up, if it's 300 searches, it's up 150 above that. 5,000% is quite a bit. That leads me to believe that more and more sellers are going to come out of the woodwork or hop off that fence and get ready to sell right now. That's how I read that stat. So you need to start going to your, all your data saying who's ready to sell now. Anyone that's bought 2 to 5 years ago might be ready to sell now, and you need to be reaching out to them.
Yeah. What was I guess that was it. Yeah, that was all of them on there. That was
the last
here's just
one.
Some Google search terms. Producer Matt, be sure to drop those Google search terms just in a little thing at the bottom in the description, because I think that would be super helpful to everyone watching. And also we would get the benefit of every one of those Google search terms because that's how it works. All right, Dan, thanks everybody for joining the show. Dan, could you tell people where they can find you?
Everywhere, DLudwigrocks, but go find me on Instagram, DLUDWIGROCKS. And where can they find you, Ray?
They can find me at Ray Zorback. That's RayZorback. And feel free to join the conversation that continues to go even after the show, as they're talking about problems in their Google search results and trying to find gate companies and landscapers, etc. So we appreciate all of you dropping into the comments, everyone that dropped into Clubhouse. Thank you guys for joining the show, and we will see you next time.
Love you guys.
Bye.